Hello, fellow viewers. Blaan here, coming at you with a little discussion I would like to talk to you guys about War Thunder. You know, it's been a while since I've done a War Thunder video, but it's something I saw and I just really needed to talk about it. Now, since this game's been out, we've had airplanes since the beginning, and then they added in tanks, and it just got spectacular where they do the combination between airplanes and tanks fighting alongside each other. It's amazing. First came out was the Germans and it was the Germans and the Russians. That's who we had. Then they gave us the Americans. It's pretty fun. They're awesome, fast, kind of get hit, but really not much armor when it comes to it. Not much. And then now, just recently, I think it was the last couple of months, we got the British tanks. The British tanks are insane and fun. But I've been hearing rumors that we possibly will not be getting the Japanese tanks. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they did have the Imperial Army. The Japanese did have Imperial tanks. They actually had more than a lot of people give them credit for. They had quite a few dozen tanks. You know, and it's kind of a shame because I've been hearing rumors that Gaijin's not going to give them tanks. All they're going to do is give them a few premium tanks from other nations and say, there you go, you're good to go. No, sorry, I'm a war historian. That is not okay with me. I just do not approve at all. Alright, so this is where I've been looking. This place right here, Japanese Ground Forces. You know, I don't know if it's legit, but this is what I've been reading, and this is made by a couple of people that are actually from Japan that are historians as well, and plus other people throughout the world. This community is growing by the day. People that are not quite happy with Gaijin saying no, we're not going to be doing it. I'll spare the details, but pretty much what Gaijin's plan to do is give the Japanese just a few premium tanks, just like from everybody. I already said that, but yeah, that's what it talks about in here. But you know, there's a lot more in here to that. But these people that are run this thing, they kind of made up their own tech tree by what they know that the Japanese had, and say, hey, this is kind of what it would look like if we did it. You know, Gaijin, please take a look. And Gaijin's pretty much just not listening. So please, everybody, please, you know, spread the word. Japan needs its own tech tree of tanks. They really do. And you know, it's not like they're going to be overpowered. What the people are saying here on these pages, that Japan's not going to be more faster than anybody. They're not going to have heavier armor or better punching power. They're going to be the jack of all trades, but strong in nothing. I believe that's how they quoted it somewhere. You know, they're not going to be really powerful. Pretty much, this is meant for more players that are more advanced. You have to use your head. You can't just rush in there and just go pow, pow, pow and kill everybody. You kind of have to use your head because you don't have tough armor and you don't punch as hard as everybody else, but you can still hurt and still, you know, do damage. So, and people are saying, well, Japan didn't have that many tanks. Excuse me? Right here, they had lots of tanks. Lots and lots of tanks. You know, they weren't powerful. They weren't very big. But they did the job, okay? I mean, here's kind of a reference. You know, that's how big a person is. That's how the tank was. They weren't big, but they did the job. And so, see, like, this would be like their tank destroyer. All right? So, you know, they had tanks, and they had amphibious tanks. They had tanks at the wazoo. They didn't have as many as America, mind you, but they had tanks. And, you know, it's not fair that they would not be represented because, you know, they really should. Because it would just be really amazing to see Japan have their own tanks, you know, because then, you know, we can get our Japanese Air Force involved, because how else is China, I looked at that and said China, how is Japan going to be able to get their tanks in here? And what these guys are talking about here is there's a possibility that, for an independent side, that France might get their own tanks. Well, if France gets tanks, why can't Japan? Because, in my opinion, Japan's tanks were better. That's just my opinion. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for that. But Japan's tanks, yes, I'll give you that. They were not the best. Some of them were actually kind of dorky. But, you know, that's what they had. They didn't have a good infrastructure as everybody else, but they did the job. And I've said this probably too many times. So, yes, you know, if you guys agree with me, or if you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, you know, just help me spread the word about this, okay? I will also leave links to these in the description. You guys can go and read this and check this all out for yourselves. But please spread the word, get it out there. You know, Japan needs its ground forces, and we need them now. All right, thank you all for watching. Peace out, guys. Stay safe. Have fun.